Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us here. We have a lot to tell you about since early this morning. We had some really icy conditions, a lot of accidents across our area, school closures, all of it. And it looks like it's not over just yet.
Oh, for sure. And it's definitely been a very slick morning. If you've gotten out on the roads or you haven't yet, I know we were all slipping and sliding on the way in this morning, coming from River Valley, Benton County, and even me just from Fayetteville. So crazy morning for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It looks like it's not over yet.
No, not at all. This is really just the very, very first wave of this active pattern. We talked about it last week. We've got an active pattern coming up. Even told you last week it looked like it was going to be more icy than it was going to be snow. And nothing's really changed here. We're still going to have at least a few rounds of some ice and sleet chances here today. Another round or two possible as we go into Tuesday. As we get into Wednesday and Thursday, temperatures may start to warm enough where our chances become mainly just a rain chance, but I do want to watch the River Valley for sure. The River Valley Wednesday and Thursday has the best chance for rain altogether, and they're going to be right there on the edge where they could at least maybe in the morning, even Wednesday morning, see another round of some freezing rain, and then it transitions to rain. So pretty much a little bit of everything here for us as we go through the next couple of days. Certainly Monday and Tuesday are your big impact days across the area. We can see our winter weather alerts. Again, these were started being issued yesterday. We just even got an update for Scott County. So all of our viewers down in Scott County, we know there's a lot of you out there. You're under an ice storm warning now. So you've been upgraded from a winter weather advisory to an ice storm warning. You have the potential here over the next couple of days to see anywhere from a quarter to a half inch of ice is going to be possible for Scott County. So ice storm warning for Scott County all the way over towards Little Rock, Central Arkansas, back into Eastern Arkansas, North Central, West Central and Northwest Arkansas into Eastern Oklahoma under winter weather advisories, Southeastern Oklahoma, winter storm watch and winter storm warnings there. So pretty much everywhere around us has the potential for some winter weather here over the next couple of days. Again, your Monday and your Tuesday are the big impact days here. Off and on rounds of some freezing rain, freezing drizzle, or sleet are going to be the primary concerns. Maybe a few flurries mixed in there, but it's mostly ice potential here each afternoon. Why? Because we have cold air, shallow, dense, cold pocket of air here at the surface, but above our heads, there's a layer of warm air. It's the opposite of what we were seeing last week. We had a layer of warm air just here at the surface, and then it was cold above freezing, or below freezing rather, all the way up to where the snow was developing in the clouds. So that's why we're not seeing much snow. We're instead talking about freezing rain and sleet. And again, some areas of Arkansas could be hit hard here over the next day or two with some of that freezing rain. All right, so we saw round one as some patchy freezing drizzle for Northwest Arkansas, the River Valley, the Ouachita region, as we went overnight, late Sunday into early Monday morning. Now for the rest of your Monday, we're watching a batch of freezing rain and mostly sleet out in Oklahoma. That will continue this way. We've seen a few spotty pockets of some sleet move through Northwest Arkansas as we get closer to mid-morning. But again, the brunt of it is out towards the west, even the potential for some hail mixing in with some of these thunderstorms to the southwest of Tulsa. They are reporting thunder sleet in Tulsa. So basically you have a thunderstorm. Instead of producing heavy rain, it's producing heavy sleet. So think about that, right? That's heading our way. And I've been in some thunder sleet at times, especially when I was living out in Oklahoma early in my career, and it is deafening, right? We know how thunderstorms just producing some heavy rain can be pretty deafening at times. Thunder sleet can be certainly pretty deafening with just basically ice just falling out of the sky. All right, again, a closer look, Northwest Arkansas. These are hit or miss, quick little light to moderate downpours of some mostly sleet, maybe a few freezing rain droplets mixed in there. Those are moving quickly from west to east. These can produce quick little bursts of slick spots out there. Again, we've seen some improvement after the drizzle kind of slowed down for us in Northwest Arkansas. Winds dried out some of the roads. Crews have been out there doing a great job. Once we get these heavier batches to move in of mostly sleet and freezing rain here, that will give us more slick conditions as we go through Monday, late morning through the afternoon. That's what we're going to be watching. Again, these thunderstorms in here are going to be capable of producing some quick bursts of sleet, and that ice will cover the roads quickly, especially with the cold air mass in place. We're not worried about anything melting. It'll just likely all stay frozen. That's going to continue to move east. So thunder sleet being reported in Tulsa all the way back down to Oklahoma City. This is going to continue east over the next couple of hours. Temperatures dipped into the teens in Bentonville and Rogers, back up to 20 now in Bentonville. We're going to stay in the 20s in Northwest Arkansas. We're going to try in the next hour or two to move into the lower to mid 30s. But once that precipitation gets here a little bit later on, then we're likely going to see temperatures coming back down around 30 to 32 degrees. So that'll be the crucial number that we'll have to watch for parts of the river valley. Ouachita, higher elevations, you'll likely stay below freezing as we go through the day. But that's what it's looking like right now. So get ready for a cold, cloudy, wintry day here across the entire region. Future track radar doing a good job showing those spotty showers of sleet moving through. Here comes that batch. Again, it'll be broken up, so you'll be off and on downpours of sleet and freezing rain potential here as we go late morning through the afternoon. Shifts off towards the east. Later in the afternoon, we start to decrease in northwest Arkansas. We'll likely continue with that sleet and freezing rain as we go late afternoon. It'll start to taper off in the river valley as we get late afternoon, early evening. So 5, 6, 7 o'clock, we're tapering off that wintry mix. That'll shift off towards the east. We'll look for mostly a break through the overnight hours. Now, we could still have enough moisture lingering where maybe a few patches of some flurries or freezing drizzle mist try to get going again. Temperatures will certainly be cold enough, 20s and some 30s, possibly the warmest temperatures early tomorrow morning in the river valley. But again, this shallow cold air mass has been colder than the data has suggested, which commonly is a common issue with some of the models. But regardless, it's here, it's in place for another day. We'll get another batch to start coming in mid to late morning through the afternoon hours as we go into your Tuesday. That'll shift off towards the east. And again, we'll have the potential here over the next 48 hours, especially north of I-40, to see anywhere from a couple of tenths of an inch of sleet to around a half inch of sleet. That is a lot of sleet. If you get over a quarter to half inch of sleet, that's a lot. And then we'll also have the potential for a light glazing of ice, better icing potential the further south you get, where again, we could see a tenth to maybe a quarter of an inch. Not going to rule it out for the river valley. And then as you get closer to Waldron, Boonville, and points to the east, southeast, you have the potential to get closer to a quarter to half inch of freezing rain over the next couple of days. Again, we're going to be watching this for you. Monday, Tuesday, big impact days. Wednesday, Thursday, maybe Wednesday morning, a little bit of a mix, and then we transition to rain in the river valley. We'll watch that for you. Here's that precipitation timeline again. It picks up for northwest Arkansas mid-late morning through the early to mid-afternoon hours, and then we decrease it. River valley a little bit more delayed as we'll look for the precipitation to pick up more during the afternoon and then start to break apart as we go more into the late afternoon, early evening. Ladies?
All right, thanks so much, Zach. Now, ever since this morning, this has caused quite a mess out on the roadways. You're looking at a live picture right now, the RDOT cameras. This is Interstate 49, the northbound lane just north of Winslow.
Well, you can see people are barely moving there, but at one point, I believe, Joe, wasn't it almost completely at a standstill? People weren't moving. We're finally kind of getting moving now, but this is just one of the many wrecks that we've seen throughout the morning, especially in the River Valley. At one point, I think we saw about 4 to 7 at one time.
Yeah, that was a semi-tractor trailer that actually turned sideways because of the icy conditions, like you said, causing that traffic to stand still for a little over an hour at this point. It is moving now, though. But here's another look. You can see traffic is still moving along. But, you know, the drivers out there are really taking it slow. This is near Greenland on Interstate 49. So people are able to travel the interstates right now, but there are certainly some icy patches out there. Not as many as there were this morning, but they're still out there.
Well, and I'm sure you could see it on the road. It almost looks like water, but a lot of that is probably ice that's sitting there. And so people definitely need to take it slow and out on the roads this morning because you never know when you're going to hit that ice patch.
Absolutely. And traffic moving a little bit better here. But in Fort Smith this morning before the sun came up, the Arkansas River Bridge on 540 there, it was shut down for a couple of hours both ways because there were wrecks and there were Arkansas State Troopers parked at each end, not letting traffic go over it because it was just a solid sheet of ice. But you can see things are starting to look up now.
Yes, thankfully so. But I mean, this morning, I feel like for a few hours, we were just watching more cars hit each other in those areas that were stop and go, and people just kept running into each other and it kept piling up and getting worse.
Absolutely. I think the problem was they couldn't stop and they couldn't tell that it was really icy because of the patches, and they would just slide right into one another. And we do have places like OG&E, Power Service Company, letting us know that, you know, this weekend they mobilized hundreds of crews, got them in place already in event, you know, for this weather event that was coming. They also have more resources. They built a reserve in their generation fleet. That way, just in case they need to, you know, supply electricity to the grid, if there are any power outages during this winter weather that's coming in the next couple of days, they can certainly do that.
Yeah, definitely good to be kind of thinking ahead, especially after what we saw last week. But another important thing to note, I mean, that's from one of those wrecks you saw earlier today. That is that 18-wheeler completely turned to the side. This is some pictures actually sent in to me by Rick Balwick, and he was telling me he drives to Rogers every day for work from Fort Smith, and he was saying he was allowing himself 2 to 3 hours, but it took him just an hour to get through Fort Smith, and then he sat here for another hour, still probably had about another hour to go before he could even get to Rogers to get to work.
Oh my goodness.
So definitely crazy, especially when you've already allowed yourself extra time, and then it ends up being even more than that. But another thing to note today, while it's hard to get on the roads driving wise, when it comes to XNA, they say that the runways are cleared. So just be careful getting to the airport itself, but definitely check with your airlines to see if your flights have been canceled or delayed before going to try to catch your flight.
Absolutely. Now, all of this today, since this morning, I think Bentonville was the first. The schools started to close or switch to AMI learning days. U of A campus, they're closed. Fayetteville, Bentonville, Fort Smith. So one of the big ones around here, they knew they couldn't get those buses, out on the roadways, that there would be accidents. So they just started closing them down first thing in the morning to keep kids and, the staff safe.
Yeah, and I know we've had over 60 school closings so far. And so definitely for a full list of that, just text the number on your screen there, 479-785-5000. You can also go to our website, 5newsonline.com, and we'll have the latest updates on the schools and businesses that are closing right now.
And you definitely want to keep an eye on that over the next couple of days, because as we move through the next couple of days of this winter weather, there could be and probably will be some more school closings. Yeah. So go ahead and get yourself set up for that so you can have that link and you can get that right off the top when you wake up.
Yeah, and power outages is going to be an issue that we're going to have to watch too. It hasn't been much of an issue right now because we haven't really seen the freezing rain impact parts of the area like we think it could be setting up to do. But the River Valley and South, we're going to watch those areas as they'll certainly have the potential to see maybe a couple of waves of some heavy freezing rain come through over the next couple of days, and then that could start to really weigh on those branches, on those power lines. The one good thing kind of in our favor is that winds aren't going to be really, really strong. You get really breezy, windy conditions. You've got the weight of the branches and the power lines. They typically come down a little faster, a little easier. Winds are still going to be breezy next couple of days, 5 to 15 miles per hour, but lighter winds could help us in the long run not have as many outages. Something we'll have to watch. It was just last week, the snow had about 100,000 in Arkansas without power at one point. I think around 106. Could we see more than that? Again, this is going to impact more than just parts of northern Arkansas or the River Valley. This is going to impact the majority of the state. So a lot of crews going to be scattered around parts of Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas the next couple of days.
And it makes it a little bit more difficult for RDOT crews who are treating, what did he say this morning with beet juice, I believe, for them to treat for the ice than it is for the snow that we saw last week.
Yeah.
The conditions are just a bit harsher for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you got to get the right timing. You got traffic out there. Again, there's a lot of things that can go against them, but they're doing a great job. They certainly, we'd rather have them out there than not have them out there. Even if you still have spotty slick spots, think about what it could be like. I know what it could be like because my neighborhood, not a treated road, was a solid glaze of ice. The driveway, I told you once I came out of my garage, it's sloped driveway.
Yeah.
I just slid all the way down the driveway onto the road, and then I did a 180 in my neighborhood, just trying to go take a left, and slid through the neighborhood stop sign didn't hit the stop sign, but onto the main road. So that's what it would look like if we didn't have crews out there trying to help us as much as they are.
And then me and you trying to get in the driveway this morning. We both have, four-wheel drive trucks. We're trying to get up the hill, the driveway. Can't do it. We had to back down, go back up. So
and it was still drizzling at the time then. Once the drizzle stopped in spots, kind of the roads kind of maybe dried out just a little bit. So those ice patches still there with the cold temperatures, but there's a difference when it was ongoing versus other coworkers coming in saying, oh, the hill was a breeze.
Yeah.
The hill wasn't bad for me, but I was slipping and sliding on the way to that hill. So I guess y'all kind of just paved the way. I drove in the
That's
traffic.
what it was.
That's what it was.
I don't know what we did. I didn't think we were going to get up there at one point. It did not look like it was going to happen.
Did not.
But yeah, a lot of people dealing with those icy situations. And again, that was just light drizzle and mist. So with some of the downpours we have around Tulsa right now of sleet, those will create some quick icy scenarios.
Absolutely.
Quickly.
Yeah, I know you and the other weather team members are all here today working on that. Of course, we're going to keep you up to date all day across 5 News platforms, social media, online, and of course here on air as well. As this unfolds, we'll have live reports. We'll show you road conditions. We'll have the latest in school closings, all of it. So we got you covered.
And just like we did last week, we're going to have coverage for the entire area. River Valley, Northwest Arkansas, we're going to have The weather team split up again. We're going to have reporters out there. We're going to make sure we get the entire picture for everybody.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for joining us here. Thank you so much. And make sure you stay with us on 5newsonline.com. We will keep you up to date throughout the day with the latest.